Welcome to the Speaking Deacon Show. I'm David Lawson, what you call the American Hoochie Man. So we're going to go back and we're going to recap the Wake Forest NC State game. Then we're going to get you do a recap of some of the ACC games that was played Saturday. So this is the final score of the NC State beat Wake Forest 34-24. First half, Wake comes out swinging, opening the kickoff. Chris Barnes takes it 98 yards to the house. Wake leads 7-0 instantly. DeMond Claiborne punches it in for a 1-yard out touchdown to make it 14-0. North Carolina State responded with a CJ Bailey to Jolly touchdown with a pick six by Isaiah Shirley to tie at 14-14. Wake regains control with a Robbie Ashford rushing a touchdown and a field goal, leading 24-17 at halftime. Second half, North Carolina State takes over. Wake offense stalls. 0 points after halftime. CJ Bailey throws 2 more touchdowns, including a go-ahead strike to Keenan Jackson. North Carolina State has a field goal to seal it, outscoring Wake 17-0 in the second half. So the takeaways in this game was Wake Forest first half was electric, but second half executed collapse. They had no execution at all in the second half. And that's something that Wake Forest have to fix if they're going to go to a bowl game this year. CJ Bailey is the real deal, though. Poised, accurate, and clutch. Wake's defense was wore down, and the offense couldn't adjust. North Carolina State moves to 3-0, while Wake drops to 2-1. Wake has a bye, and before they come back and play Georgia Tech in their last home game before they travel, before they put on their travel shoes. They'll put on their travel shoes after they face Georgia Tech. But right now they got a bye. They can work on a lot of things, and they can make sure they can correct the mistakes and execution, and maybe make some personnel changes. But anyway, North Carolina State moves to 3-0, while Wake drops to 2-1. So our segment for today is the 2 halves and 1 lesson. Wake Forest versus NC State, a game that started like a dream and ended with a lesson. Opening kickoff. Again, Chris Barnes takes it 98 yards to the house. First quarter, Wake leads 14-0. Halftime up 24-17 with momentum and swagger, but football is at 1 in 30 minutes. In the second half, Wake stalled. No points, 2 turnovers, and CJ Bailey took over, leading North Carolina State to a 34-24 comeback win. It wasn't just a loss, it was a mirror reflection of what happens when execution fades and urgency slips. Wake showed flashes of brilliance, but the second half exposed the gaps. Key stats: time of possession, North Carolina State 38-05 to Wake 21-55. Turnovers, Wake 2, North Carolina State 0. That's another key element. You can't turn the ball over and win games like that. Second half scoring, North Carolina State 17, Wake nothing. This game wasn't about talent, it was about timing, about finishing, about learning that momentum is enough if you don't protect. Because there is a devotional tie into it. In life, just like football, it's easy to start strong, but the second half, the part where fatigue sets in, where distractions creep in, that's where character is revealed. Let's run with perseverance, The race marked out for us, the Hebrews 12:1. Wade didn't quit, they didn't fold, but they learned, and now with a bye week ahead and Georgia Tech looming, they've got a chance to respond, not with fight, but with humility, because the lesson is clear. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. So now we're going to do a recap of week 3 of some of the games. We won't do all of them, but we're going to do the ones that are meaningful. So here's your week 3 SEC football recap. Plenty of shakeups, a few stunners, and a clearer picture of who's rising and who's reeling. In the SEC movers, week 3 highlights. Georgia Tech 3-0, 1-0 in ACC. Upset of the week, took down number 12 Clemson on a walk-off 55-yard field goal, snapping a 9-game losing streak versus the Tigers. And King is emerging as a fearless leader. Brent Key's squad is surging and now ranked number 19. Miami 3-0 statement win. Crushed number 23 South Florida 49-12, showing dominance on both sides of the ball. Carson Beck and the offensive humming. Miami is now the ACC's top-ranked team. North Carolina State is 3-0, 1-0 in ACC. Comeback. Kings overcame a 14-0 deficit to beat Wake Forest 34-24. CJ Bailey and Hollywood Smothers look like a legit duo, quietly climbing the rankings. And Cal is 3-0, surprise contender, beat Minnesota and now has 2 wins over Power 5 teams. Freshman quarterback Sega Lutel is turning heads. So the ACC teams in trouble. Clemson 1-2, 0-1. Playoff hopes fading. Lost to Georgia Tech. Drops them to 1-2 for the first time since 2014. Offensive sputtering in Cade Klubnik's hasn't lived up to the hype. Virginia Tech is 0-3. Collapse versus Old Dominion. Lost 45-26, and the locker room looks lost. Hokies are now at the bottom of the ACC standings. Duke 1-2. Fell to Tulane. 34-27. Defense got exposed, and they face North Carolina State next week. The ACC standings snapshot top 5. Miami is 3-0, dominant win over USF. Florida State 2-0, bye week still top contender. Georgia Tech 3-0, upset Clemson, rising fast. Louisville 2-0, quiet but undefeated, and North Carolina State 3-0, gritty comeback versus Wake Forest. Now to my big-time ACC football picks for week 4. Syracuse at Clemson. I'm going with Clemson. Wolfpack at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech should win this game, but you never know. SMU at TCU. I'm picking SMU. Bowling Green at Louisville. I'm picking Louisville. Kent State at Florida State. I'm picking Florida State. UNC at UCF. I'm picking UNC. North Carolina State at Duke. I'm picking North Carolina State. Temple at Georgia Tech. I'm picking Georgia Tech. Florida at Miami. I got Miami. Stanford at Virginia. I got Virginia. And California at San Diego State. I got Cal winning this game. I was 7-5 last week. And my picks, a lot of weird stuff going on. So that kind of made me I think it's 33-12 for the season. It's about 73%. I'm down quite a bit, but it was a weird week 3. A lot of surprises. teams that lost that should have won, teams that won that should have actually lost. So we'll see what happens uh, this weekend. See what kind of weird stuff happens. You never know. I mean, the way it looks on paper doesn't mean that it's going to play out that way on the field. So we just have to look at that and see where things goes for this weekend. So those are the games, and we'll take a look at the top 25 games also coming up in the next segment. So in the next segment here, these are the top 25 games for Saturday, September 20th. This is week 4. Texas Tech at Utah. Utah is a 3.5-point favorite. UAB at Tennessee. Tennessee is 39.5 favorite. Oregon State at Oregon. Oregon is 34.5-point favorite. Kent State at Florida State. FSU a 42.5-point favorite. Auburn at Oklahoma. OU is a 6.5-point favorite over Auburn. Kind of disagree with that. I think maybe Auburn might pull that upset. Anyway, Tulane is at Ole Miss. Miss is a 12.5-point favorite. Michigan and Nebraska. Michigan's is a 3-point favorite. Purdue and Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 26.5-point favorite. Temple at Georgia Tech. Temple at Georgia Tech. 23.5-point favorite for Georgia Tech. And we're on down the line. We see South Carolina at Missouri. Missouri is a 13.5-point favorite. Florida at Miami. Miami's a 7.5-point favorite over Florida. I think they'll cover that one. They'll win by more than that. And those in Indiana, IU is a 3.5-point favorite. Georgia State at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's a 26.5-point favorite. Louisiana, LSU. Another line on Sam Houston, Texas Tech. And the last one, last two, Sam Houston at Texas. Texas is 41.5-point favorite. Michigan State, USC. USC is a 16.5-point favorite. That's your top 25. And we'll go on to our last segment, and I'll be talking to you and make some comments. Okay, so we're back for the last segment. I'm going to do a commentary, which I haven't done yet this year. A little bit new, I'll be doing from time to time. So we've already discussed Wake Forest. They need to improve, and they need to execute. They need to make changes. We're going down the same path as we have over the last couple of years, and we don't need that. I mean, it seems like it's the same old thing with Wake Forest, no matter who the coach is, and we had 2 years of this, and we don't need another year of that. That happened last Saturday against NC State. I mean, if you come out and play the first half, and you can't do the same in the second half, and something's wrong somewhere. You're being lazy, and you're being irresponsible, and you're not doing your job. And if you can't do your job, then you don't need to be on the team. You don't need to be on the team. You can't get the job done, then you need to step aside and let someone who can. You spend a lot of time, and if your time was wasted because you're out there on the field, don't give a hooty hoot about what's going on, then then leave the team, let someone else do it. That goes for anybody else. So we move on from there. I'm just saying that Wake is 2-1, 0-1 in ACC. We're early, and we can still make a bowl game. We can still win some games that get us into a bowl game for the first year of Dick Dickard. So the commentary that I'm going to do here is JCC's identity crisis and who's owning it. 3 weeks in, and ACC feels like a conference caught between arrows. Arrows in the old guard, Clemson, Pitt, Virginia Tech is stumbling. The new wave, Georgia Tech, Miami, North Carolina State is quietly rewriting the script. Clemson lost to Georgia Tech. That wasn't just an upset. That was a cultural shift. Brent Keys didn't just outcoach Dabo, he outbelieved him. Haynes King played like he had nothing to lose. And Clemson looked like they'd forgotten how to finish. North Carolina State, they're not flashy, but they're built like a team that knows who it is. C.J. Bailey isn't trying to be a hero. He's just doing his job. Hollywood Smothers is the heartbeat, and when Wake gave them a window, they didn't hesitate. They walked through, and it locked the door behind them. Wake Forest, they're not broken, they're bruised. A second half collapse wasn't about taking, it was about urgency. They got a bye week now. If Dickard's culture is real, week 5 against those Texas becomes a redemption game, not just for the record, but for the soul of the season. Miami, they're the most complete team in the ACC right now. Balanced and confident and quietly ruthless. If they beat Florida in week 4, they become the standard, not just in rankings, but in time. Then we go to week 4. It isn't about matchups, it's about mindset. North Carolina stays at Duke. This is a trap game. If State gets complacent, but if they stay grounded, they'll expose Duke's defense gaps again. Georgia Tech versus Temple. Georgia Tech should cruise, but how they win matters. If they dominate early and rest starters, they'll be fresh for Wake Forest. Miami versus Florida. This is a tone setter. If Miami wins big, they become the ACC's playoff hope. How about Florida State versus Kent State? FSU needs to show polish, not just power. The bye week should sharpen them. How about a spiritual reflection on the ACC on this? JCC is learning what every believer knows: identity. Is it proven in comfort? The identity is proven in comfort. It's force and conflict. Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1, 2, and 3. Week 3, test the ACC. Week 4 will reveal who's growing and who's just surviving. Thank you for looking and listening and seeing the Speaking Deacon Show. Speaking Deacon Show will be back next week. At the same time, we'll put this on YouTube, Facebook, and X for you all to see. You'll just have to go to YouTube. It'll be posted from YouTube. So thank you for joining me. I'm David Lawson, also known as the American Hoochie Man on TikTok and other social medias.